Good morning or good afternoon, should I say, year six. Today in RE, we're going to be thinking about how children who are part of the Muslim faith might learn as part of their learning about the Quran and where they might do that. Okay, so we're going to think as part of this learning about, we're going to understand what a madrasa is. We're going to consider why parents of children of the Islamic faith would decide to send their children to a madrasa. We're going to think about the lessons children receive at a madrasa and how they might be different to the kind of conventional schools such as Brookvale that we go to in the daytime. And we're going to compare the two types of lessons that people might be getting. Okay, guys, just thinking back to last week, we looked at the lessons within the Quran, which were important lessons for Muslims. Okay, so I've just covered up some words here in each of these statements. So the first one is, and whoever does evil or acts unjustly to his soul, then asks of Allah, he shall find Allah forgiving, merciful. See if you can remember what that word would be. Move my Spring's face up the way there. Go down the bottom history. And fighting God's cause against those who wage war against you, but do not commit for verily God does not love So what word do you think should be there? We've got to be constant in prayer and render the purifying dues. For whatever good deed you send ahead of your own selves, you shall find it with behold, sees all you do. So who is it who's beholding all that you do? And finally, and whoever of you lives in this month shall something throughout it. So this is a month which is special to people of the Islamic faith. What do they do for this month? Unless he's what? Okay, so there's a reason sometimes some people don't take part in this special month relating to what they consume. It might be they're on a journey, but what else might be the reason they don't take part? Okay, so just thinking about those. Looking at number one, then. Okay, then asks forgiveness of Allah. Okay, number two is don't be aggressive. Okay, do not commit aggressions. For God does not love aggressors, so the people doing the aggression. Okay, number three, then we've got the idea that God sees all that you do. And number four is the idea that for a month people shall fast, so they will not eat during that month of Ramadan. And the reasons people don't take part if they're still part of the Islamic faith are that they're on a journey or that they are ill. Okay, so if people are ill and they are part of the Islamic faith, then what they might do in the future is they do their fasting days after the actual month within the year. They do it at a different point within the future. Okay, so there's those different language points just to remind us of the lessons which Muslims learn from the Quran. Okay. Madrasa then is a word that I've mentioned earlier. So a madrasa a college for Islamic instruction. So it's a place that people who are wanting to learn about Islam would go and learn. If we look at the word madrasa, it stems from the Arabic of madrasa, which literally means a place of study. And it stems the verb drasa is to read repeatedly, to study. Okay, so we look at within drasa, okay, it looks quite similar to drasa, okay, and that verb to read repeatedly or study. Here's an image of children within a madrasa, and you can see the clothing they are wearing is different to the clothing that children at our school would wear, but you can also see that they are there to study. It looks like a classroom inside sometimes. Different madrasas will have different appearances. So if you're somebody who goes to a madrasa for your learning outside of school, it might look different to this. The teachers might look different. The setup might look different. However, it might look similar in some ways. Okay, they're not all the same. Same as schools, really. You couldn't have a picture that this is what every school looks like. So synonyms then, as I say, it's synonym with a school or a college. Okay, it's a place of learning, and its antonyms something like a workplace. So it's different to a workplace. It's not where adults tend to go unless they are going to deliver the education. And what I'd like you to do with this piece of vocabulary is your first piece of work. Then it's just could you complete one or two sentences where you use the word madrasa, especially easy if you go to one yourself or if you know someone who does. You could just write a simple sentence: happily, comma, Burr likes to go to the madrasa, comma, and then the relative clause is where they learn about. What do they learn about? Okay, what do they learn about? And where they learn about Christianity, or do they learn about Islam? Okay, so could we have a sentence or two within the usage section where we're looking at the madrasas, please? Okay. Right. Lots of children go to these schools at the mosque, okay, and they're called a madrasa, and it's to learn about the Quran as well as going to mainstream or conventional school. So I'd like you to have a little think about what kind of things children do at the madrasa. Okay, do you think they just sit there and look at books for the whole time? It's linked to a mosque, so I can understand why you might think they just look at the Quran, but there are other elements of what they do there. They do go to a mainstream school as well, so it's not just going to a madrasa. these at the madrasas, then there's lots of different activities that take place. Spring's face keeps getting in the way. So an example of this is they learn to speak and write Arabic, the language which is important in Islamic society. Okay, Arabic. So they learn to speak, write, and understand Arabic. They also learn teachings of the Quran. So they do look at that book. They look at the book. They look at it and treasure the book, and they take the learning from it. As part of it as well, they learn about Islam and how to be what's called a good Muslim. So somebody who follows the teachings of the Prophet and somebody who adheres to the rules and the conventions of Islamic life. They also do other things too. They cook, they paint, they sing, they play sport, they dance. There's lots of activities which people in the Islamic faith will take part in when they're at a madrasa. Okay? Now, some of these are other reasons that people might send somebody to a madrasa. Okay, so what I've got here are 20 reasons. Now, as we've been doing with our spellings, I've got some of them wrong. So I'd like you to pause the video here and have a think about these 20. If you can't pause it, I'll read them through. And as I read them through, I want you to think about which ones are right and which ones are wrong. So I'll go from a top row. Is it to learn, read, and write and speak Arabic, or is it to learn, read, and write and speak French? What do you think? Is Arabic. Learn to how to play football. They might do that, or do they learn how to pray? What do you think when parents are making the choice to send a child to madrasa? Why are they there? It is to learn how to pray. Yeah. Is it to learn to study the Quran, or is it to study the Bible? Which book of religious teachings do we think they're going to study? The Quran. To develop their love and respect for God and the Prophet Muhammad. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, I didn't want to change that one because it was difficult to change without sounding like it was an attempt that people would be disrespectful. So no, people go to a madrasa because it's about loving and respecting their God and the Prophet Muhammad. Okay, is it to learn about Islamic culture and how to be a bad Muslim, or is it learn about Islamic culture and how to be a good Muslim? Yeah, it's how to be a good Muslim. Is it to learn about your roles and responsibilities in society, so out in all aspects of our lives, or is it just about those ones at home? Yeah, it's about society. It's about how to be a good Muslim in society all the time. Okay, is it to learn good manners and behaviour, or is it to learn bad manners and behaviour? What do you think? Good manners. And is it to become terrible or good citizens? Yeah, to become good citizens. Okay, right, guys. I'd like you to just think now, there's other adults in your life, even if you do go to a madrasa, there's other adults such as me, such as Mrs. Ashford, such as Mr. Hale and Mr. Day. There's other adults as well. You might go to football classes, you might go to trampoline classes, you might go to gymnastics classes. As well as that, you your mum, your dad, you might have older brothers, older sisters, you might have uncles, aunts, lots of adults, lots of grandparents involved in our lives. What do you think these adults are trying to teach you about life? Because if you remember, parents who are sending children to madrasa aren't just wanting to learn about Islam, but they do want them to learn about Islam. So it is they want them to go to the madrasa to learn about these aspects of being a good Muslim, but they want their children to learn other things as well. And your parents, if you're a Muslim or if you're not a Muslim, will want you to know other things as well. So what kind of things do you think your parents want to teach you about life? What kind of things would be a good lesson? Just have a think about that. Do you think it would be a good lesson to hurt people? Or do you think people would want you to consider others? Do people want you to try your best? Or do people want you not to? What kind of lessons do you think? Do you think mums and dads want you to consider how to be as smart as you can and how to work hard? Have a think. Okay. Right, guys. Today, then, what I'm going to ask you to do is three or four things. First of all, you've got your vocabulary box. So I'd like you to fill in the usage section, 2 or 3 sentences there. Okay. Then there's a second video that I'd like you to watch now. The second video isn't with me. It's with it's a little fact video about a couple of madrasas within Birmingham, and people go in and they show people what happened there. They talk about them. And after watching those videos, what I'd like you to do is answer these questions which relate to them. Okay. So there's just some fact-finding retrieval questions where you look at the video and you understand what happened in them. And once you've watched those 2 videos, you should be able to answer what your parents want to teach you. And if you're not sure, go and ask mum and dad and any grown-ups involved in your life. And then think about earlier on, we looked at what a Muslim's parents were hoping that they'd get from attending a madrasa. So if you think back to this slide, that'll help you with the second column in this final sheet. The first column is about what parents of any child will want their lessons to learn, and then the second column is about particularly about Muslims child parents, okay, and what they'd like their children to learn. And then at the bottom, it asks you to think about the similarities and the differences between those two lessons that parents might want to do. There's going to be lots in common, but there are also some lessons that your mum and dad wouldn't be teaching you because you're not a Muslim, or maybe would be teaching you because you are Muslim. Have a think about that. Okay. So watch the other video now, the one that consists of the schools of madrasa. That's in your link. And once you've watched that video, answer these questions, then complete this sheet. See you soon, Year 6. Thank you for your engagement with our RE session today. Get rid of Mr. Spring. See you soon. Bye-bye.